The state of Mississippi, in many ways, lies at the center of the anti-abortion movement right now. Of course, the case that overturned Roe, that led to the overturning of Roe, Dobbs v. Jackson's Women's Health Organization, centered around a Mississippi state law in 2018 that made most abortions illegal after 15 weeks of pregnancy, about 2 months earlier than existing Supreme Court precedent allowed. But Friday, the Supreme Court didn't just rule that Mississippi's abortion ban after 15 weeks would stand. 5 of the court's 6 conservative members overturned Roe v. Wade entirely, paving the way for states to pass even more restrictive measures. And Mississippi is in a position to quickly follow suit. It joins 12 other states with so-called trigger laws already on the books. These laws were crafted to automatically go into effect as soon as Roe was overturned. 3 of the states with these so-called trigger laws, Kentucky, Louisiana, and South Dakota, don't even make an exception in cases of rape or incest. On Monday, Mississippi's Attorney General formally certified the state's trigger law. That means most abortions will be banned there in just 10 days. Now, it's worth noting that Mississippi has the nation's highest infant mortality rate and the nation's highest teen pregnancy rate. In fact, you can't help but notice a striking similarity when you look at all of these trigger law states. Take a look on your left, a map tracking abortion restrictions. On your right is one tracking infant mortality. So much for culture of life. Joining me now is Michelle Colon. She is co-founder and executive director of Shero Mississippi, which stands for Sisters Helping Every Woman Rise and Organize. It's a group dedicated to reproductive justice for Black and brown women in the state. Michelle, thanks so much for coming on the show today. You've said you're going to defy this ruling with everything in your being. What will that effort on your part look like practically?
Well, our vision for reproductive justice and abortion access is the same as it has always been. And that means helping Mississippians navigate going to clinics across country. That means continuing conversations with them about self-managing their abortions and helping with fundraising efforts to make sure that there's funding resources there to help them and practical support funding.
There's been a lot of criticism of the Democratic Party leadership that it isn't showing enough urgency on this issue. When House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn was asked about the Dobbs decision last week, he reportedly said, quote, "It's a little anticlimactic. I think we all expected this. And I'm hopeful, I have to read the decision to see exactly the extent to which we can move legislatively to respond to it." Anticlimactic, hopeful. What is your reaction as an activist on the ground to the Democratic Party response in D.C.?
So let me be clear. We are in control of our futures, not the courts, not any politicians, not one political party. And so what we are not going to do is to sit idly by and hope that political leaders do the right thing. We are taking action and we are demanding that our lawmakers hear our voices. We are demanding that they support access to necessary reproductive health services, including abortion. Lawmakers must center the voices of the reproductive justice and pro-abortion movement leaders, right, who have been fighting for equitable health care for generations now. It's time to not only codify the legal right to abortion, but also ensure it is actually affordable and accessible by dismantling financial barriers and stigmas. Politicians should heed the guidance of healthcare providers and medical experts in those associations who overwhelmingly affirm that, the importance of abortion care as part of comprehensive reproductive health care.
And Michelle, since Friday, since the decision, how many women in Mississippi have you spoken to about the impact of the ruling? What are their biggest concerns right now?
Wow. So when this broke, I actually was live doing an interview and then and I had my phone off. I got back into the car and I had several messages, text messages and DM messages. I was able to talk to 17 people just like back to back to back. As I was talking to one, the phone was beeping. So I talked to 17 just to calm them down. You know what I'm saying? They were very confused. People were crying. I was contacted by people who know me, who other people wanted them to get in contact with me. So on Friday alone, it was 24 pregnant individuals who were hysterical, They were frightened. They were terrified. They were confused. They were wondering if they, some of them, like, I have my appointment for next week. What does this mean? And some of them, I couldn't understand what they were saying because they were so hysterical. But we were able to get, several of them appointments in other clinics, and still helping get them the funding that they need for their appointments. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just those people who were able to contact me. Now, there are other folks, other entities that they may have contacted, other abortion, funds, other groups that they probably contacted. They most likely probably contacted some of the national abortion funding hotlines or some of the other clinics that they were trying to get to. That was just the people here in Mississippi who had appointments at the Lone Clinic in Jackson.